Hi there and welcome to the first of what I hope will be many videos. If you're watching this video, I will assume that you have either bought or are thinking of buying the Piaggio MP3 400, which is what I'm going to review here. I've had the scooter for about 18 months now, and I've been trying to do a video like this for some time. Because I'm familiar with the scooter and everything about it. I'm comfortable with it, and I thought it's about time I did a full review of what it's like to own. A little bit of history. I had a few 125s. I always went for the maxi size because I needed the space to carry things, my camera equipment and what have you, and the regular scooters just didn't have the space. And I was in the shop one day and they suggested I get the MP3 because in Europe you can ride it on a car license. And I haven't got a bike license, so I thought, okay, let's go for it. Hurt paying for it, but it was worth it. It does look a little bit odd. I'll show you here. So with the two wheels at the front, but it is a fantastic scooter to ride. It's very stable on the road. It's probably more stable than anything with two wheels. It also has anti-slip and ABS brakes. And there's been a few times where I've gone round a bend and it's been a bit wet, or I've slipped over some dirt, and the anti-slip has caught really quickly, faster than I can react, which is spectacular. I was out on a ride with a friend some time ago, and he had a couple of slips, didn't come off, but each time he said to me, "Didn't you slip?" And I said, "Nope, didn't even notice it." So let me walk you around the bike so you can see what it's like and what features it has. You can skip forward if you've already seen this on other videos. The remainder of the video is going to be about what it's like to own one and ride one. So I'm going to start at the back. I opted for the 50 litre top box. I didn't get the Piaggio branded one, and I actually wish I had, because I've seen them, and one difference is that this backrest here is level with the seat backrest here when you get the Piaggio branded one, even though it's actually Shad who make the box, which just strikes me as odd, but that's the way it is. It's got full LED lights at the back, so LED indicators, LED brakes, and under the seat, huge amount of storage space. I'm just going to open that now. So you can see here I've got my camera bag with all my camera equipment in it, and there's still space for a couple of other things. There's just a huge amount of space here under the seat. I've never been short of space anywhere I've gone. It's been fantastic. Regarding the controls, down here you have the foot brake, which is a CBS, I think it's called, braking system. So it will brake both the front and the back brakes simultaneously. Here you have the handbrake. So this obviously keeps the bike stopped when you get off the bike, otherwise you'll find it rolls away. I've done that once or twice. Here we have, well, first of all, over to the left, we've got the rear brake, and then we have the lights, so high beam and then flash for passing indicators, and we have the horn and the warning lights, the indicators. This actually was down here, but I had the mechanic move it because I just didn't see the point in having the hazard warning light button down here, so I had it moved up here. because it was just easier to access it. Quite often I'll be on the motorway, the traffic comes to a standstill, and it's just nice and easy to put that on with the button being there. The mode button I'm going to go through in a moment. This is the start button, and this button here is to lock and unlock the suspension at the front, or the steering at the front. So once it's upright, I can push the button to the right, or to the left, sorry, and it locks and it just stays completely stable. And if I press the button to the right, or I accelerate away and the revolutions go over, I think, 2000, then it automatically unlocks. Of course, you've got your kill switch there and your front brake there. That's pretty much it for the controls. This, of course, will connect it to the Bluetooth app, which in my opinion isn't worth it. You have to actually buy extra equipment to do that. You can disable the anti-slip, which is handy. Like right now I'm stood on gravel, and if I was to set off and the bike wouldn't move because of the anti-slip, I can turn that off and just gun the throttle a little bit, and obviously that's for the seat. Here you have the light switch, so you have the light on and then just the daylight running lights. In fact, I'll show you those. So when the button is over to the left, the green light is on the dashboard there to tell you that the daylight running lights are on, and that's what it looks like. They're actually quite a bit brighter than they would be normally. I'll show you now. When I turn the main beam on, those lights at the bottom dim slightly, which is odd, but it works. The headlight isn't on because the engine isn't running. Once the engine's turned on, the headlight comes on, and when you turn the engine off, the headlight goes out. And if I recall, it's the right one that's the main headlamp. What else is there to say? So that's a quick tour around the scooter itself, the controls, the features, if you like. What is it like to ride? Well, I went from a 125 to this, which is 400cc, and I was told to take it easy when I set off, which I did, and it did surprise me, the amount of power, the difference. If you're currently riding a 125 scooter and you want to go to something more powerful and you don't have a bike license, I would recommend it. It's fantastic. It's, if I recall, just 4 centimeters wider than the 125 that I had, so filtering isn't an issue. Finding parking isn't an issue, although I have heard tales of them getting a ticket if they are parked in a bike bay, because technically it's a tricycle, but that's a rare thing, I'm pretty sure. Here in Tenerife, where I live, I park wherever there are bike spaces. Occasionally I've parked on the pavement, no issue, so long as you're not obstructing pedestrians, of course. Because of the way that the roads are set up here in the town centres, there's space between the palm trees in the road, so you can just put the bike between those trees and do your shopping and come back, do whatever you need to do. It's great. To ride, it's exactly the same as a two-seater bike. The only time I notice the difference is if I'm parked or if it's stopped. So what's it like to ride? Well, it's just like a two-wheeler. I had 2 or 3 two-wheeler scooters before this, and within the first few minutes of riding it, I noticed it behaved exactly the same as a two-wheel bike. The only time I really notice the difference is if it's stationary or very slow, because it's heavy. It's I think 270 kilos. Given I weigh 90 something, that's a lot of weight. In fact, just once I parked up and I couldn't find the floor with my left foot. I think it hit a pothole, and down she went with me. Unfortunately, she had a few scuff marks. It took me a while to get her back up, but there is a technique to it. I'm not putting it down just so you can see that, sorry. But other than that, it's fine. I like to ride it. I go all around Tenerife, exploring the island. It's fantastic for getting to places you wouldn't normally go. And because it's a 400cc, you get that extra power when you need it to pull away. Unfortunately, you do get some idiots that like to tailgate you, but with something a little bit more powerful than the 125, not an issue. So, on with the ride. So, in short, I would say it's a great scooter to own. Loads of space to store things. Nice and powerful for getting away from junctions, entering roundabouts, etc. Nice and high as well. It's a very commanding position. You can see quite far ahead on the road, which is good for safety. The only downside would be the weight. I've only dropped it once, as I mentioned, up the mountain, and it wasn't easy getting her back up, but I managed. There's a technique to it. Once you get the technique down, you just don't want to do it again, especially when you've spent so much on a bike. What I didn't mention up the hill was I actually chose an overcast day to record this, mainly because we've had a heat wave here in Spain, or in Tenerife, and I was out a few days ago and I was going to do this video, and it was 47 degrees when I got where I was going to do the video. I wasn't doing it in that temperature, so I waited until it was overcast. Hopefully we'll have a nice cool day today. So in short, if you're in doubt about whether or not to make the jump from the 125 to the 400, my suggestion is, if you can afford it, go for it. This is a 2021 model. The 2023 model is different, completely redesigned. Maybe I'll get that in the future. The 530, I think it is, 530cc. But for me, and for the riding I do, which is mostly interurban, up the mountains, and I do go up some steep hills, the scooter will actually quite happily hold 70 kilometers an hour up at 1500, 2000 meters, where obviously a 125 won't. And I've even been up to the mountain in powerful cars, like 2-litre cars. They lose all power after about 500 meters. So it's nice to have something that can still pull away, even at that altitude and speed. And the other type of driving I will do, or riding I do, will be occasionally on the motorway. Now, if I was on the motorway every day, I would probably have gone for the 500 to just have that extra little bit of power. But it handles perfectly fine on the motorway. It pulls away perfectly fine. It can keep up to motorway speeds, no issues whatsoever. Like I said, the only downside, if you can call it a downside, is it weighs more than some Harley Davidsons. Which, if you're going occasionally, I've gone down a one-way street downhill, and I've had to turn around. You have to be very careful and control the scooter as you're turning around because of the weight. Just take things nice and steady. The good benefit is it has the steering lock, or the suspension lock, so you can actually lock it and then get off the scooter and move it by hand. And I believe the 500 or the 530 as it is now comes with a reverse gear, which would be handy. So any questions, drop them in the comments. If you'd like to see anything particular about the scooter, any of the features that I may not have mentioned, just ask in the comments. I'm more than happy to go through that. Have a good one.